everyone, it's your girl Havana Sims. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new Sims 4 video for the year 2020. I cannot believe it. We are starting a brand new decade and I hope your Christmas and your New Year's was everything that you had wanted it to be. Thank you for giving me this time away from you guys. I know I had ended things abruptly without no notice or anything. I did state on Twitter that I had a death in the family. First, it was a fall, and then it resulted in a death. So I needed that time to just recoup, regain, getting myself together. Um, Still a little sad because it was my grandmother, but your girl needs a distraction. I can't, you know. I need something to do. I need something to do, and The Sims has always been that one thing that actually keeps me sane. It gives me something to do, basically. But enough about that. We're not here for that. We are here to talk about machinima basics. So. I'm not sure how it came about, but I do have here my notes that I had actually written into an email that I had emailed myself, and it's dated for December 8th. So around that time, there was some talk on Twitter, and then I forgot the person who said this. I'm sorry, I cannot go back on my Twitter and find out who you are, but hopefully you are watching this. And they said, hey, why don't you make a video on how you do your machinimas and stuff like that, and I thought that was a great idea. So here we are. Now, disclaimer, I am in no way an expert on machinimas. I just know what I do to prep and prepare for it and what has been successful for me. Now, do I get millions of views and stuff like that? No, this will not get you millions of views unless you knock it out of the park. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but I don't get that. I just know, what I do. But this will give you the basics that you need to at least understand how to do a machinima and the work that goes into it. And then you can just go from there and make the changes how you want to change it. Um, so we are here in this house. This house is called the Valerie, and it is on the gallery. I'm sorry, this is like my first voiceover, so it's actually my fourth take on recording this. I keep fumbling my words, forgetting what I'm saying, so please excuse me. But this is called the Valerie. It is on the gallery, so if you want to download the house, little shameless plug on the side. I did do some changes and stuff like that. But I do have these 8 people living here, and I will be using them for an upcoming machinima, so I just have them housed here until I can get myself together. But I thought it would be great for me to go here because this is a one-floor house, and it would be easier for me to give you guys tips that you want. So, first step is the story. You want to write the story out on paper from start to finish. Think about what you're interested in and go from there. If you have an LP running, perhaps you should extend that story into a machinima. I have seen some people state that, I want to do a machinima, but I don't know what to do it on. So that's why I said if you have an LP, just run that into a machinima, and because you already have that story down pat, so you could just go from there. And I am reading from my notes, so if it seems like I'm reading from a script, I'm reading from my notes so I don't forget a thing, because your girl's memory, it's not that good. It's not that good at all. Okay, so second step is shortcuts. And you want to make sure that you have these shortcuts visible by your laptop or computer so you can reference at any time. The first one is, of course, the tab button. So you just press tab. That takes away like all of the bars on the bottom, everything from up top, and that gives you a clean screen for you to work with. It's also sensitive, so when you move your mouse, it goes like that. So you want to be careful not to move your mouse if you want to take like a still shot. Let me show you what I mean. Let me zoom in. Uh-oh. Hello. We're glitching. We can't be glitching here. Make sure you always have the walls up. So if I just want to focus on them having a conversation, I'm just going to press the tab, and then it's focused on them having a conversation. That's a scene right there. Alright, so the next shortcut is headline effects off. So I have this sim currently selected. Excuse me, wall. So when you're doing a machinima, you don't want the plumb bob to show. So I'm typing in headline effects off, pressing enter, and then it immediately removes the plumb bob. And so now when you go to record, get yourself in a good position, press your tab, it's now a cleaner shot without the plumb bob showing. I mean, that's just a preference. You can most definitely keep the plumb bob on, but I suggest taking it off. The next thing would be while you're in tab, the Q and the E. When you press Q, the camera goes down. When you press E, it goes up. That comes in handy, and I do use that when in the beginning of the machinima and I want to create like that movie effects, you know, when they're zooming in on stuff, or if you're in front of the house, you're going up and down the house to show, you know, that this is the house. I can't really explain that part, but it looks so much better. So I'm going to go into tab, and I'm going to do the Q like that. When you get closer to the ground, it goes slower, but if I press E, it starts off slow, and then it zooms up faster because you're not in front of the object that you want. So you will zoom up way, 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 way fast. But if you press Q, you're going down, and then when you're in front of the object that you want, it slows down, and so that gives you that slow down effect, which I absolutely love. While you're also in tab, you can use your directional keys that are on your keyboard to move forward, and that's also in not slow motion, but it slows it down, which I love as well. Or you can move back, or you can move to the side, and then you can move to the other side. And you can also, in tab, use the W, D, A, and S to move the camera forward, right, left, and backwards. The next thing is to make sure that you keep recording no matter what. Even if your Sims are taking a shower, keep that camera rolling because you never know what could happen. These Sims are unpredictable, their personalities are unpredictable. They can, you know, put something on fire, put themselves on fire. You could definitely use that in the story. You know, even if you have everything planned out, they could change up the whole storyline with one action. So you definitely want to capture that, and then later on when you decide to remove it, at least you have that extra footage. But at the same time, keep your finger on that tab button as well, and double check the scenes you have collected before hitting save, especially if someone in your story is going to die. So what I mean by that is when you're recording, you have everything in tab, right? If you're going to do the tab thing, you don't have to. You can keep everything down here for your machinima. It doesn't have to look as clean as that. But if you want the clean look, definitely do the tab. All right, let's see what he's doing. So I'm putting the tab. You don't have to show the ceiling, so but you can. I mean, like a little peek of the ceiling like that. So if the scene is Alex making a drink, and then I'm zooming in on Alex making the drink, that's good. You don't want to zoom in too close to counters because they tend to disappear sometimes. Like it did a little glitch of disappearing. But I know it does that for tables. You know, that could be it. That could be the scene. But if something were to happen right now, or if somebody comes up to him and slaps him, you know, you want to keep that footage. So the reason why I keep referencing the tab button is because this is what actually separates your video from machinima and a let's play. It takes away all of this from the bottom and the top, and it gives you a clear space to capture what you want. Like that says machinima, this says let's play. You know what I mean? But of course, I'm not gonna knock whatever you want to do, whatever style you want to do. I'm just saying that this is the way to go. You know what I mean? All right, so the fifth step are the characters. I personally love to create my own characters for my machinimas. Don't have to remember to credit anyone for creating something for me. There's nothing better than showcasing your original work. If you prefer to use someone else's sim slash build, make sure that you get permission first. So with every machinima that I do, every build that you see is either by me or was pre-made by EA. So it's not that I don't want to showcase anybody else's work. I'm going to forget. And I don't want to forget to give somebody else credit. And actually, to be honest, I love to do all the sims myself, all the homes myself. I actually take piece by piece, the builds that I would make, and then I would cut them up, and do it that way. Actually, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So for season 2 of Enigma, there was a scene for the clown where one of the Sims had to go to the hospital after her run with the clown. I don't want to give it away if you guys haven't seen it. And so I had to build a hospital, and these things, it takes a lot to build. Okay, so it was here in Brindleton Bay. Okay, so here is a spot where I had built the hospital, and I decided to build it here because I love this road coming up, and it was snowing at the time, so it was perfect. So I do have that hospital saved on my gallery. I did not, put it out there for you guys to download. Here it is. When it comes to these machinimas, you don't want to overdo it. So the shots that were taken outside here and then inside one of the rooms. But of course you want a complete build if you're going to do a scene, quote unquote. So I had did all the stuff on the outside, made it pretty, blah blah blah. But on the inside it's bare. And I just have this like little room here and this little room here because I wasn't sure which room I wanted to focus on, but I ended up using this room, which was perfect. I did have a door here, but I took the door out. And this whole thing was made from the staging that came with Get Famous, believe it or not. So let me see if I can find it. Because they have Residency of the Heart. Yep. I had used this. I put the whole thing down. I cut it up. I took the green screen in the back away. I closed up the walls, and then I just changed up the walls, the flooring, and all that. So use what you have and just make it your own. Like, nobody's gonna know the difference. You don't have to make some elaborate building and waste all your time, because these machinimas they take a long time. I'm not gonna say it takes a week. It takes me at least 2.5 months to do Enigma. I have to start so early on. I start like in July, getting the story together. July, August, September, then October. Yeah, like 3.5 months to get all this together, because I want it to go a certain way and I want it to look a certain way, and I know if I hold it off in the last minute, that's not realistic. You definitely want to give yourself some time, especially if you want to change up the story. I remember for the first season of Enigma, I must have changed the story like 1,000 times. At first, I was gonna have 7 stories going on, but then, life happens, and I have a child, I have a full-time job, so I have to use my time wisely. So I give myself plenty of time and I cut corners to get to the point that I want to make. The same goes for the hospital, not the hospital, the jail that I had used for the story as well for Briley. If you haven't seen that one, definitely need to see it. Not the Briley story, the lover. My God, don't worry. I'll get back into the swing of things very shortly. So I had the gel here on the slot, the slipshod mesquite, and I'm just gonna show you what I had did. So I had used a veterinary hospital that I had created and just changed it up. So you can definitely take your old builds and just zhuzh it up a bit. Change it to your liking. So I made the outside, I added these things on top. I changed the outside to make it, mustard green, just ugly, boring. I added the security cameras. I kept the back as it was, and then when you go in, it's like half of the veterinary clinic and then half not. So all I had to do was just change up. I didn't even have to do these back rooms, to be honest, but I wanted to. But I kept these as the same. As you know, when you go into the veterinary clinic and they have the sink and stuff in the offices. So the focal point was this office. So while I was zooming into the room, all you could see were the bars and then this office. And that's all the audience needs to see. They don't need to see anything else. So again, you don't have to go crazy when it comes to your builds and stuff like that. And this is where the office where everything happened. As long as you get your angles right in a room that seems bare, it will seem like the room is full, if you understand what I mean. So that's another thing. Be wary of your angles so that you can fill up the room. So, alright, let's go back to the other house. Alright, so the sixth step is your machinima style. And I had touched on this earlier. There are at least 3 machinima styles that you can do. The first one is adding voice to your characters, and that can be accomplished using a mod. The second is by text. You can simply write out the script on the scene. I'm sorry, on the screen and add music for effects. The third is by narration, which is my personal favorite because it gives the machinima a storytelling effect. You can narrate the story yourself or ask your friends to do so, but make sure you give credit to your voice actors. Credit is very important, okay? You can't ask people to do something and then not credit them. Um, the narration style is my favorite because, like I said, it's a storytelling effect. I want you to be immersed into it. I didn't want to use the mods because, honestly, I like to keep my game as mod free as possible. I did use the extreme violence mod for season 2 of Enigma, and it was so much fun. It is actually crazy, to be honest, but I did love that turn up. I did want to make sure that things were a bit bloodier and all that. So, it's up to you. But to me, season 1 was, I didn't have any mods at all. I just used the personality of the Sims and, the different effects that the game comes with. So it's completely up to you, the style that you want, but there are at least 3 that I personally know that you can do, and all of them work just fine. The 7th step is action. So you're ready to start recording and you have done all of these steps. Be prepared to record the same scene several times so you can capture the scene in different angles. Capturing one scene in different angles is a surefire way to turn your machinima into a blockbuster. Well, not a blockbuster, but it will certainly capture the attention of the viewers that are watching. So, what I mean by that is, let me make sure these walls are up. I want to capture them talking. So how I would do it is that I would get tab out. I'm capturing this scene here. Love it, love it, love it. When I tab, that means that I'm keeping this scene. So I'm tabbing out, that means that I have stopped capturing the scene. That's how I see it. So I'm gonna pause because these sims move very quickly and they do not sit for a long period of time. So I want to be careful with that. And so what I'm going to do is maybe get, not splice into the wall, get this part here. I'm going to tab and I'm going to press 1 because the 1 is start. One, I don't think I said that earlier. 1 is start, 0 is pause. I'm sorry, I missed that. So if you tab, 1 is start, 0 is pause. So you see what I mean? They move around. So it was too late for me to capture him sitting down, but that's okay. So I'm gonna capture this side, and I can always start over. So okay, I don't want to capture them sitting down talking. I can just capture one sitting down, one standing up. So that's one angle. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna swivel over here. I'm gonna get my camera right. I'm gonna tab. I'm gonna press to go, and then get this angle here. So I have already captured 3 angles for the same conversation. So that's what I mean by that. And you put all that together and, it could be like for a minute or a half or however long you want to capture that one scene. The 8th step is about length. How long should your machinima be? That will depend on the story that you're trying to tell. You don't want it to be too long or your viewers will lose focus. You also don't want to make it too short because the story has a beginning, middle, and end. You should be able to capture that in 10 minutes. So I would say to have machinima over 5 minutes but under 15 minutes. And especially if it's gonna be a series, continuing on, you may be releasing it every Friday. You definitely want to give them small little 10-minute bites for them to want more and ask you, where's the story? Where's the story? So I would say that's how long the machinima should be. The 9th step is editing. So you have all of your recordings and you are ready to edit. This for me is the most exciting and sometimes stressful part. You have a ton of scenes to go through and cut out. If you have kept recording without stopping, even after going in and out of tab mode, then editing will be easy. Just look for the times that you went in tab mode and out of tab mode and then cut from there. That will shrink the scenes of what you really need to focus on. Once you have all of your scenes together, make sure you don't have to go back and re-record anything in game. What I said earlier about Sims dying, I've had to go back plenty of times after a Sim has died, not save, and then redo that scene again. It's very important. Please do not save your game if you plan on killing off a sim, especially a sim that has developed a relationship with another sim. Of course, you can always put in your shortcuts, your cheats, and all that, but I think it's more important to just deal with the game as it is and just not save. Definitely save before the death scene, but don't save after the death scene unless you've gotten everything that you have wanted. And you can always come out of the game, go into your editor, see the scene that you have just recorded, and say to yourself, okay, I like this, let's keep going. Then go back into your game and then save. You know what I mean? So you could definitely do it that way. Now, the last step is music. So you have come to the final step, and that is music. Music is so important when it comes to storytelling, and I'm sure that you already have music down pat when doing your LPs or builds, but music for a machinima is different. It sets the tone for the whole video. If you plan on doing opening credits, make sure you have appropriate music to set the scene for it. Always look for cinematic tracks when looking for music choices. Just think about the movies that you have seen and how the beginning pulls you into the story or even gets you to start crying. There are plenty of copyright free tracks that you can use. Wherever you get your current music from, I'm sure they have cinematic tracks. Just make sure that the music you use is copyright free. I cannot stress enough how music is important. I think I take like a week and a half picking out the music for my machinimas because I definitely want you guys to feel what I want you to feel before everything starts. Like, oh my gosh, this is intriguing. In my editing program, I use Filmora. There are definitely little sound bites that I use that I incorporate into it. I know for Briley in The Lover, when she goes to, you know, kill her victims, I add in, some eerie sounds because I want you to feel it and I want you to be immersed in the story. So the last step is definitely music. Make sure you have that down packed. So those are my 10 steps to creating a machinima. If you have any more questions, let me know. If you want to know more, let me know. But basically, that is it. Those are, everything that I go through when I'm starting my machinima, when I'm doing my machinima. And again, this is not some 1, 2, 3, okay, I'm done type of situation. At least for me. I'm not gonna put my angst on you guys and say you have to be controlling as I am, but I don't know. I know what I like and I need things to be a certain way. But of course, any way that you guys do it will absolutely be right and it will be a great story. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you do enjoy this. And yeah, Happy New Year, you guys. Alrighty, bye.